Beautiful text. So, how many of you have heard of karma? How many of you have heard of Dharma? So, these terms are thrown around a lot, especially in modern times. We hear them quite often, but it's not exactly clear what they are. Generally, in Sanskrit, I listened to one Sanskrit scholar, a nice person who speaks about Krishna, but he's also a Sanskrit scholar. He says that on average, a word in Sanskrit has 22 meanings. So every word has 22 meanings in Sanskrit. So it's very, very ancient and complicated language. So this word karma has many meanings, and this word dharma has many meanings. But from the most basic point of view, karma, simply translated, just means action. The word karma, translated into English, means action. And for every action, there is a reaction. And this is where we get the modern concept of karma. For every action, there's an opposite or equal reaction. So we get actions and reactions, karma. Actually, according to the Vedic paradigm, the word karma is generally used to mean good deeds or deeds that are approved by God, karma. The word vikarma means deeds that are not approved or that are innately sinful, so to speak. They create a negative reaction, vikarma. And then there is another type of karma, which we are striving for here. It's called akarma. Akarma means no karma. In Sanskrit, the word when you put that before a word, it negates it. Akarma. Vidya means knowledge. Avidya means ignorance. So we all have some karma. We're born into this life with some karma. We're born with a certain propensity. We find that certain children are born with certain propensities, correct? Why is it that Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart when he's at 7 years old? He came into this life from his past life with certain karmic propensities to write beautiful music. He'd spent many lifetimes coming to that level. So we come into this world with some karma. We have a certain propensity to act a certain way. Some people are born in a very negative circumstance, and some people are born in a rather positive circumstance. When I was a kid, I used to ask, why do bad things happen to good people? Why do bad things happen to good people? And the churches I was attending were not able to answer this question. Why are some people born crippled? Why are some people born in such negative circumstances? And why is God doing this to people? I was asking these questions and I could not get an answer. But once I read about karma, I thought, oh, yes, this makes sense. And along with this conception of karma comes the idea that the soul is eternal. The soul is everlasting. It's not just this one life. We have many lives. There's 8,400,000 species of life according to the Vedas. And we take birth in all of these species of life until we exit this cycle of repeated birth and death, until we achieve spiritual enlightenment. So, in other words, we are acting a certain way in our past life. We're getting a certain body in our next life. We're creating our next life right now. By our activities in this life, we're creating our next life. If we act a certain way in this life in a negative propensity, then in our next life, we'll have to take a body that will be able to handle these negative reactions for our misdeeds. So this is karma. And this word dharma. Dharma is a beautiful word. It has so many meanings. Dharma, in simple terms, means the intrinsic nature of something. Our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, often says, as an example of the word dharma, the dharma of water is to be wet. The dharma of fire is to be hot and to have light. The dharma of sugar is to be sweet. So, dharma is our intrinsic nature. Dharma can also mean religion. Can also mean the way or the path. So everybody has some dharma. What is your intrinsic nature? What is it you're meant to do? What is your dharma? What is it you're meant to do? People are very unhappy in this world because they're doing what they're not meant to do so much of the time. Sometimes you'll find that a young boy, he is interested in art. He wants to be an artist. He wants to create art, to sculpt, to play music, to do something like that. But due to the society and the pressure that is put upon him, he may go into business, or to being a doctor, or to being a lawyer. And yes, if he's successful in that, he'll make money. He'll have a job, but that will not fulfill him because it is not his dharma. It's not what he's meant to do. It's not what God has put him here to do. It's not his propensity. So there's many meanings to the word dharma. We're not going to go so into that. There's also many types of dharmas, many types of paths. There's higher dharmas and there's lower dharmas. There's higher paths and lower paths. Higher rules and lower rules. Higher religions and lower religions. So you should know what is your dharma, and you should also understand your karma. So if we have a certain karma, if we're born with a certain propensity, say in our last life we were practicing art, we were working very hard in our past life to become a good artist, and in this life we're born and we don't continue with that, even though it's our propensity, it's our desire. We engage in something that's against our karma, against our propensity, against our dharma. We don't feel satisfaction. So we have to understand our dharma, what it is we're meant to do in this world, how we're going to contribute through our karma. We have to use our karma, what we're born with, what we got. We have to work with what we got and use it to serve others, serve God. That's our dharma. Because we'll only be fulfilled if we fulfill our dharma. So dharma balanced with karma, material or spiritual. So there's material dharmas. Material dharma means you do your duty. There's the duty of a father. Griha dharma means the duty of a family man. He's taking care of his children. He's going to work. This is a type of dharma. There's Kshatriya dharma, means the dharma of a warrior. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, he's Kshatriya dharma. His dharma is to fight and to protect others and to defend. This is what he was born to do. It's what he was good at. And he was having a conflict and he wanted to go into the forest and become a sage. And Krishna, the Supreme Lord, God himself, told him, you will not be successful if you go to try to become a sage, because that's not your nature. That's not your dharma. There's Vaishya dharma, the dharma to earn money, make money in the material world, different dharmas. But beyond all of those dharmas, there's Sanatan dharma. Sanatan means eternal. Sanatan dharma means the eternal religion. So in this body, you have a certain karma, you have a certain dharma. But you're not this body. This is the crux of spiritual life. The most important aspect of understanding spiritual life is first understanding that you are not this body. You are the soul within the body. And the soul has its own dharma. The soul has its own path. The soul has its own intrinsic nature. A dog does dog things, a cat does cat things, a human does human things. But in each individual living entity, whether it be a dog, a cat, a tree, a cow, a brahmana, a dog eater, whatever it may be, there is a soul present. And the soul has some dharma. So what is the dharma of the soul? What is your true dharma or your sanatan dharma? That which never leaves you. That which you cannot be separated from. That which is the very essence of who you are. What is your eternal dharma, your sanatan dharma? That dharma is love. Love and service. Sanatan dharma, or sometimes called Bhagavat dharma, means the desire or the propensity to love and serve God. This is the living entity's duty. This is the dharma of the soul. This is who you are beyond this body, beyond this temporary identity. We say, I'm American, I'm John Smith, and I'm an American carpenter. I'm so-and-so, and I'm a Democrat. I'm a Republican. I'm this, I'm that. But actually, beyond all of these temporary false identities, you are an eternal part and parcel of God. Amayavamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Krishna says in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Mamayavamsho jiva loke, that this is God speaking. He says, Mam amsha, you are my amsha, you're my fragmental part and parcel. Mamayavamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana, eternally. You're eternally my fragmental part and parcel. So who are you? You're an eternal fragment of God. It's good news. You're not going to die. Your body's going to die, but you're eternal. You're an eternal fragment of God. You've always existed. You'll always continue to exist. As long as God exists, you exist. And what is your relationship with God? Your relationship with him is a relationship of deep, eternal love. Krishna is the supreme lover. Krishna is the supreme source of all happiness. God is the source of everything. This means he's the source of love. He's the source of happiness. He's the source of joy. And everything we're looking for in this world, all the love we're looking for in other people and other relationships in our families and so many things, that loving propensity is ultimately fulfilled when one resurrects this Sanatan Dharma, this relationship with God. This is not mundane religion. This is not Hinduism or Catholicism or Christianity or Judaism. This is beyond all that. This is who you are beyond all those temporary identities. What is the essence of all religion? Sanatan Dharma, that which doesn't change. We see that Christianity had a beginning. We see that Judaism had a beginning. We see that even Hinduism had a beginning. However, this Sanatan Dharma does not have a beginning. It's eternal. As long as the soul and God exists, this Sanatan Dharma exists. And this love that you share with the Lord, which will satisfy you, which will make you unlimitedly happy, which will put an end to all your material miseries. This Sanatan Dharma never ends. It goes on forever. It was always in the beginning. It will continue on into the future. As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. Your loving relationship with the Lord. However, in this material world, you've been covered by illusion. If we haven't noticed, there's a lot of illusion in the world. There's a lot of distraction. There's a lot of weapons of mass distraction, distracting people from who they really are. They're losing sight of their eternal identity and becoming lost as to who they really are. And therefore, without this connection, without this loving connection in their heart to the Supreme Lord, they cannot be happy. So in the Vedas, it's commonly spoken about that we come to this world, we leave the spiritual world where we're with the Lord, where we're eternally happy, our spiritual dimension. There's no physical bodies, there's no death, there's no time. It's just the eternal dance of love that one engages with Krishna in an eternal dance of love, ever increasing spiritual bliss, moment after moment, where time is not even present. This is the spiritual dimension. But due to our free will, misuse of free will, I should say, we come to this material temporal dimension. Why? We come to fulfill our own desires. We develop our own desires to lord it over or to be supreme. This is what everybody really wants in the material world. Deep down, they want to be God. Not that they're thinking, I want to be, creating planets and floating universes, but they want to control. They want to control their world, and they want to exploit material nature. They want to have their things. They want to mold life in a way that they will feel they are happy. And if they don't get what they want, generally, they're suffering. This is generally why people suffer, because I want something and I don't get what I want. And when I get what I want, I lose it. And there I'm suffering also. This is called hankering and lamentation. I'm hankering for things I want and I'm lamenting things I lost. This is the plight of the materially illusioned soul in this world. So we come here to fulfill desires. And the Vedas give us a program to fulfill these material desires and at the end go back to Godhead. So there's different goals of life spoken about in the Vedas. One of these goals is Dharma. Or this word Dharma comes up again in a different meaning, means religiosity. It's a good goal, right? My goal is to be a good person. Just be a good person, Dharma. I'm going to do the right thing. And then If I do the right thing, I can artha. Means artha has many meanings also. But artha means, in this case, economic development, making money. These are called purusharthas. These are the goals of life, purusharthas, the 4 purusharthas. Making money. I'm doing the right thing. I'm being a good person. Now I want to make money. I want to advance myself. I want to have a nice car, nice house, nice wife, all of that. I want to live a good life. Artha. So we're doing this in a religious way. We go to God. Give me some artha. Give me a good life. And then after that, I have dharma, I have karma. I'm sorry, I have dharma, I have artha. Now it's time for kama. What does kama mean? Kama means material enjoyment, especially that enjoyment which is enjoyed with the opposite sex. Kama. I want to enjoy love with the opposite sex or the same sex. This happens now. So there's this kama. I want to enjoy like this. And from that, next I want to develop liberation. I want to enjoy economic development. I want to be a good person. I want to enjoy nice sense enjoyment. And then I want to leave the material world, moksha. I want to become liberated. These are the 4 goals of life. But the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is one of our scriptures, the very first verse, very second verse, it says, this is Kaitava Dharma. It's cheating religion. That the Bhagavatam kicks out this Kaitava Dharma, this cheating religion, because all this is based on me. So notice that these 4 goals of life, which generally religious or good people follow, they're all based on me. I want to be a good person. I want to have a good money. I want to enjoy my senses, and I want to be liberated. All based on me. What's good for me. But no one really talks about the 5th goal of life. And this is what we're talking about here. This is what we're trying to present to you here. This is what we want you to leave here and think about and take up, because this is the perfection of spiritual life. If you consider yourself a spiritual person, the fact that you're here means you're a spiritual seeker. Many lifetimes it took to get here to this point today, to come into a temple of the Supreme Lord, come into a Krishna temple and hear this philosophy. This is the perfection of all spiritual life. Believe me. I've read a lot of scriptures. No one talks about this. This is exclusive to bhakti, love of God. This is called the Pancha Purushartha, the 5th goal of life, love of God. We hear a lot about salvation. Salvation's about me. I don't want to go to hell. Love me or else, you're going to go to the bad place. Not saying that's bad, but that's not exactly the pinnacle of spiritual life. It's fear-based. So the goal of this Bhakti Yoga, what we teach here, is love of God. How many people talk about love of God? This is the love that will satisfy all other loves. This is the love that will never end. This is the love that you will have in your heart, and that no matter what happens to you, no matter what circumstances befall you, even at the time of your death, you will remain transcendently blissful. Outside of this material world. This love of God is your real Dharma. 5,000 years ago, great sages came together. They came together and they came together at a place called Naimasaranya, and they had a seminar to understand how are we going to help the people of this age we live in now. It's a very fallen age, noticed. There's a lot of problems. Just look at the earth. She's in trouble. So these sages came together 5,000 years ago, and they had a seminar to decide what is it we should do for them? What is the goal of life? What will make these people happy? And the conclusion is that how to become happy. They came to this conclusion. They said in Sanskrit, Savai Pumsam Paradharmo Yato Bhakti Radoksaje Aitukya Pratiyata Yayatma Suprasidati. They said that the supreme dharma, the supreme occupation, duty of every living entity, the supreme dharma for all humanity at large, is that by which they can attain loving, devotional service unto the transcendental Lord, unto Krishna, Adhoksajay. Such love should be unmotivated and uninterrupted. Unmotivated and uninterrupted love. That's what we're looking for here. No strings attached. I love you in an unmotivated and uninterrupted way, my dear Lord. Ahaitukya pratiyata, yayatma supersidity, that will give one complete self-satisfaction. Atma supersidity means that will completely satisfy the self. You want to be completely satisfied? If you're completely satisfied, what do you need? You're always happy. If you're completely satisfied, you're always happy. So if you want complete satisfaction, this is what you require. This is the supreme Dharma, Bhakti Yoga. So the point is, it's not so easy, right? People think, oh yes, I have so many desires. I have so many propensities. I'm not a monk. What do I do? It's not what Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita. He's not saying become a monk. Even if you did give up everything and try to serve Krishna, you just made Krishna the goal of your life. There's never any loss. There's a verse in the Bhagavatam where it explains that one who gives up their duty, one who gives up their dharmas, one who gives up everything to serve God, one who makes God the goal of their life, even if they're unsuccessful, and they fall down from that service, there's no loss. But even if one does everything materially perfect, if they have the best job, they're perfect parents, perfect husband, perfect wife, perfect, whatever they do, whatever their occupation is, if they do all that perfectly, at the time of death, there's no gain. We can't take any of it with us. The only thing we can take with us is our spiritual bank account. What did we do spiritually? What did we do to advance our spiritual life? This is what we can take with us. Bhaktva swadharmam charanam bhujam harir. Even if we abandon all of this swadharma and we fall down, we engage in the service of the Lord. If we fall down, there's no loss because you take it all with you in your next life. Bhajana pakvo tapatet tato yari. Yatra ko abhadra mabuddha mushyakim kovarta apto bhajatam swadharmataha. There's no loss. So, read a little something from the Bhagavad Gita. What is Krishna saying here? So I'm going to read a little. This is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 45. By following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done. So you want spiritual perfection? We can follow our own qualities of work. Some people are warriors. Some people are priests. Some people are teachers. Some people are family people. We have certain qualities. We're born with a certain propensity. Albert Einstein said, you can't judge a fish's intelligence by its ability to climb a tree. We all have a certain propensity. So by following your own qualities of work, if you do your own dharma, your own path, you can become happy, you can become perfect. But if you go against that path, it's very dangerous. Krishna says, by worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings. Basic knowledge here, the Lord, Krishna, he's the source of everything. God is the source of all beings. And who is all pervading. God is everywhere. Every atom contains God within it. A man can attain perfection through performing his own work. You can attain perfection, spiritual perfection, by being who you are. This is the essence of spiritual life in a sense. Be yourself. Be yourself. By performing your own work, you can attain perfection. It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly. So it's better to engage in your own work, your own dharma, even though you may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. So you live according to your own nature. You won't be happy. You can't be like a fish out of water. You have to do on a material level, even on a material level. We're all about the spiritual. Sometimes even in this Krishna consciousness world, we say, what's the most important, spiritual or material? Of course, spiritual is more important because you're the soul, but that doesn't mean material nature isn't important, because if you don't live according to your propensity, you can't be happy. You're going to be miserable. So how do we balance this spiritual life? How do we take our karma what we're born with. We're born with a certain propensity. We're born with a certain mind. We're born with a certain body. We're born with a certain desire to do certain things. How do we take that and use it to attain perfection? With what Krishna is saying here. He says, like I just read, by following the qualities of work, of his own work, every man can become perfect. Krishna is saying we do that by worship of the Lord through our own work. So we have to worship the Lord. We have to worship God through what we do, through our own work. So if you're thinking that the goal of my life is just to make money, if you're thinking that the goal of my life is just to survive, then I have bad news for you. You can never be happy. You can never be happy because you're not going to survive. You're going to die. Everybody's going to die. So it's an uphill battle. So we have to understand who we are, both materially and spiritually, but first and foremost, spiritually. So how do we understand what is our material dharma? What is it that we're meant to do for God? First and foremost, Jesus Christ, he says, seek the kingdom of God and all other things will come. So Krishna says, Mam ekam sharanam brajaha. Make me number one in your life. Mam ekam. He says, Sarva dharman parityaja, mam ekam sharanam brajaha. Abandon everything. Abandon all your dharmas. Abandon everything. And first and foremost, mam ekam. Krishna says, seek me. Make me the goal of your life. If you make Krishna the goal of your life, then he'll relieve you of all the bad karma, all the repeated birth and death, all the suffering. And it's not that means it's going to be super hard. Krishna wants you to be yourself and to do what you're best at to please him. So I wanted to conclude with this verse here. Bhakti Yoga is very simple. Krishna says, Yat karosi yadashnasi yaj jahosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kanteya tat karosamararpanam. Whatever you do it for me, Krishna is saying. Whatever action you perform, do it for me. Whatever charity you give, do it for me. Whatever you eat it for me. Offer it to me. Whatever austerities, whatever spiritual practices you perform, do those, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So Bhakti Yoga means do everything as an act of love for God. Don't be afraid to be who you are. Don't be afraid to follow the path that you feel will please you and offer that to God. Do what you're best at and give it to God. You'll be happy. You may not be rich, but you'll be happy. That's a guarantee. That is a guarantee. I promise you that. Krishna promises you that. So first and foremost, you have to become close to Krishna. And how do you do that? How do you become close to Krishna? The best way is you learn this science, what we do here, this chanting of the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This chanting of God's names is the universal practice for becoming close to God. You don't want to chant Krishna, chant another name of God. There's infinite names of God. Yeah, I'll get to you. Just let me finish this last statement and I'll ask questions. There's infinite names of God. We chant Hare Krishna. We think it works best. It's prescribed in the Vedas. But if you want to chant your name of God, that's cool. But chanting the name of God will bring you close to God. Offering prayers, worshiping the Lord, remembering the Lord, serving the Lord. There's 9 processes of bhakti. You can learn all that by coming here, reading some of these books. We'll teach you that. And you'll become close to God and it'll become clear. What can I offer to you, my dear Lord? Everybody's thinking, what can you do for me, God? And we're thinking, what can we do for you? And that will make you happy. So my dear friends, I encourage you, please chant Hare Krishna. Learn Bhakti Yoga and do whatever you do as an offering. You'll be happy. You'll be happy. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. You had a question, sir.
Yeah.
What's your name first?
Stephen.
Nice to meet you.
What's your name?
My name's Kirtanesvara. People just call me Kirtan.
So is Om chanting just like as equivalent as the...
I am the transcendental Om. Krishna says, I am the sound Om. So Krishna says, this Om, this sound Om is me. But it's an impersonal way of addressing him. Generally, Om is used as an indicator to indicate something further. Like we say mantras. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this Om is there at the beginning. It's kind of like addressing the Lord. Like, sir, Om. We say Om Narayanaya Namaha, but the name of God is Narayan. So one is impersonal. Om is addressing the Lord and all his energies. Whereas when you say Krishna, you're addressing the Supreme Person directly. It's very, very hard to exchange love with Om. Om is peace. Om is energy. But it's not a person. It's the energies of God. God has energies. God is everything. But beyond all of this everything, and there's energies, there's a person behind these energies. There's a personality. And it's completely spiritual. But deeper than that level of spirituality is to have a personal relationship with the Lord. That means I'm exchanging love. So chanting Om is good, but chanting Hare Krishna will take you into a deeper level of relationship. Both can give you liberation, but chanting Hare Krishna will take you into a deeper type of relationship. It'll give you a higher spiritual experience. But take it from me and take it from Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, I am Om. There's no difference. Thank you. That was a very fantastic question. I think you're always asking questions, Prabhu. We're out of time. You can ask me after class. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.